That's right. And if you don't believe it or you've never seen it in action, please, 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 please go watch The Biggest Little Farm to see this in action. I love that documentary. I've watched it probably 17 times. It's amazing where they take this dead, completely sterile piece of earth, and with diversity and all these different species, they build it back, and the topsoil returns, and all these plants and animals are happy, and they work together, and they solve the issues that come up, and it's absolutely beautiful and amazing to watch. And I completely agree with you that this can be done for an individual, for somebody that's listening to this. They're not a farmer. They live in a city, maybe. They still have to get their food from a grocery store. What would you say to the average listener? What can I do on an individual level to do my part?
Okay, so the first thing, which is going to feel very satisfying and will also help your body, is to figure out how to get the best possible food. The food that is from these grass-based farms. It's amazing, but what do you know? It completely matches the needs of the human template. And it is because we evolved on the African savanna eating those animals that ate the grasses. So of course it matches us perfectly. That makes total sense, right? So you can find that at the store more and more. You can find things that are labeled, grass-based, like it'll be grass-fed beef or grass-based. You'll see it on the milk carton. It'll say, it's a grass-based dairy. Do some research and just make sure if you want, because sometimes, these things aren't legally defined and you may not be getting what you think you're getting, but more or less you can depend on it. And if it's a decent farm, they'll answer your questions. They'll tell you exactly what they're doing, and you can often go visit, which is an amazing thing because now you have a personal relationship with that soil and those animals and that farmer. And that's a really great thing to do. And if you can't find in the store all the things that you want, and I know it's hard, but do a little research. And the best site that I recommend it's called eatwild.com. And it's run by a woman named Jo Robinson. And she's written a whole bunch of books all about these subjects. She just absolutely lays it out for, the average civilian. You don't have to be a scientist. You don't have to be a farmer. You don't have to be a doctor. Just why this works, how it works, why it's good for you, no other good food on this is the best food ever, and she will explain why. And then she runs this amazing website, and you can go state by state in the United States, pick where you live, and then look at all the farms that are listed there and what they sell, and if it's something you want and how to get it. Do they do farmers market? Do they deliver? Can you go to the farm? And you can make arrangements to go get the food, and it's really fun. So you might need to get a big freezer, which can be a pain if you live in an apartment, but I've done it in an apartment. You can get like a little cube freezer, and you can buy, a quarter of a cow or half a cow, split it with your friends. And now you have the best food in the world that is repairing everything. It's repairing the soil, it's repairing the water tables being recharged. You're saving the local waterways, because if you're building soil and you're protecting soil, it means it's not running off into the local streams, which means the fish can come back now. They can't survive being choked like that. But now that local stream can come back to life as well. So all of that is happening. And if you have a grass-based farm, it means all the other animals get to live there too. So it's not just cows. Like, you'll have all of these the ground-dwelling birds come back, the migratory birds can come back, they can build little nests, they can have their lives, amphibians, reptiles, even sometimes larger mammals. Everybody has a place to live. There's so few animals that can live in a cornfield. And the problem too is that, you can talk to anybody who's ever had to run one of those carbines at harvest time. It's hell, because as you go through, they say it's 1,000 animals per acre is being ground up in that machine.
Oh my God.
That's what goes into your wheat and your corn and your soy. But they said the worst part is when you get to the very end, because there'll be that last few acres, and every animal has been able to get away has run there just in absolute terror, because they know they're about to be killed by this giant machine. And so they're all there in that last acre. The last acre is hell, because there's nothing but dead animal bodies the entire way through.
I've never considered that. That is awful.
And people that I know who have had to do this, like, they're so traumatized even 20 years later about how
oh my God,
that last acre or two where all the animals have gone to hide.
Oh my
and
God.
That's what you're eating when you eat wheat or rice or soy or whatever. There's nothing vegan about this. That is your food. So anyway, it's horrible. But if you have grass-based farming, you never have to own one of those machines. You just don't. Yeah, you kill a cow. That's life. It is literally.
And you get food for a year.
You do. You have one life can support so many people for so long. So and grass-based ruminants are the best ones for that, because it's the largest animal. It's the least amount of death. And in the meantime, the entire cycle of life is made stronger. And we've had to make this this like terrible distinction here where we're trying to get out of the cycle of life by saying, oh, I want my life to be death-free. And the real trauma for me was in facing that that is not possible. No matter what I was eating, something was going to die. And that was horrible to me as a vegan. And it became very apparent when I was trying to grow my own food. I couldn't do it without killing things, and it was horrible. That's even setting aside the fact that plants are very alive and very sentient, and they are our elders. You know, like a lot of traditional people talk about the trees as our grandparents. And that's true. They came first, and you know what they did? They built the atmosphere. They made
That's
sure
right.
oxygen, and then we came along. So
That's
they
right.
did all of that for us. That's why they're our elders, is because they made our lives possible, and they still make our lives possible. And what have we done to repay them? We've taken over all their territory, so there's nothing left. Yeah, so that's like the horror of it, right? Is that there has to be death for life.
Yeah.
And you know, when I was still in the throes of coming to grips with that, which was very difficult. I mean, this just sounds like such a cliche, but I had a Native American friend, and I was just unloading on her, like, I can't, this is so hard for me to make peace with. And she just looked at me with like, it was compassion, but also pity. Like, God, you poor thing. Like, how can you be 35 years old and not know this, you know, level of just like, she's like, for something to live, something else has to die. And I was like, oh my God. It was like so profound. And for her, it was like, you should have known this when you were 3 years old. Like, you people are so pathetic. I was like, well, there was no one to tell me. Like, how was I supposed to know that?
Right.
But then I had to sit with it. Like, she's right. I've already experienced this. I've already seen the truth of it. But now I have to actually absorb this concept. So they really are, I'm going to let my dog out because she's barking. The only option really is, are you going to be, is it the death that's destroying everything? And that's agriculture. That's the food I thought was the wonderful food when I was a vegan. But it's not. That's the food of death. The other death is the food that makes all of this stronger. It's the death that supports the cycle of life. And that would be like grass-based ruminants, because that's what that cycle is. And we have to eat something. We cannot eat the grass. We are not ruminants.
Right.
We cannot just eat sunlight and minerals from down below. That would be the plants. But you and I cannot eat sunlight. I mean, we can't go outside and just say, hey, breakfast, thank you, sunshine. We can't do that. I mean, what's in soil, right? What is it? It's dead plants and dead animals degraded by bacteria and then taken up again into plants. So, I mean, plants are eating dead animals. That's what good soil is. And if you garden,
Right.
you know this. You need manure, you need bone meal, you need blood meal. It's horrible as a vegan because I couldn't face it. It was horrible. I was like, go and get these like organic amendments. Okay, I need them. And then I'd read the package and be like, what? What is this thing? Blood meal. What is that? Is it what it sounds like? It was horrible. But now it's like, yeah, that's what soil is. It's dead animals.
Yeah,
Where do you
right.
think they go? They
That's
go,
right.
we all go back to the soil. That's the beauty of it. Like, that's what we should just be in awe, that we get to be part of this forever. We
That's
are
right.
recycled, like, right? Every last molecule. It gives me such peace. I love it, because one day, I mean, I have like a family of hawks that lives here every year because I let the meadow be a meadow. So I have beautiful, the state grass of California is purple needle grass, which is this incredibly beautiful grass because it looks like a purple needle. It has this,
Wow.
grasses are very subtle, but it is this sort of purple green color, especially there's this huge seed head, but it looks like a needle, like the eye of a needle. So the grass itself just looks like a giant needle with this beautiful purple color. The
Amazing.
purple fades, like once the seed head is opened, it just fades all back to green. But it's this amazing plant. I have it everywhere in my meadow, is purple needlegrass. I've tried to plant it too, but some of it was here. Anyway, I let the meadow come up. And what that means is that there's all these small mammals and reptiles, and everybody lives in the grasses, all these grass dwelling little creatures. And I have a wetland too, so they come and go. It's like perfect. But it meant that the hawks could move in because, of course, they have to feed their babies. And you know what they're eating. I mean, they're just strict carnivores. So they want the baby bunnies, and they want the baby mice and all this. So they've been there now for 5 or 6 years. Every year they're back and they raise another pair of babies, and I can hear them. They make, there's this very eerie sound, that this sort of high pitched little shriek that they all make, which I love.
Wow.
But they're here every year, and it's because I've let this land repair so much. But that's it. I love the idea that one day I am going to die. That's hard. It's hard for humans to face our mortality, but at the end of the day, I'll be part of it. I'll be part of the grasses. The grass will eat me, and then other creatures are going to eat that grass, like the mice or the rabbits. And then the hawk is going to eat the rabbits, and I'll be part of a baby hawk. And
Yeah.
why did I resist that knowledge when I was a kid? Like, that's the most amazing thing, that we get to be here forever. As long as the planet is here, some part of us will be here. We're just recycled. That's all it is. We're just getting recycled every time.
Yeah.
And yes, those moments are hard. Birth is hard, death is harder, but you have to go through it if you want to be here.
That's right.
You
That's
have,
right.
there's no way out. I mean, maybe you'll be a Buddha and then not have to reincarnate. I don't know. You can believe what you want. We can't prove these things one way or another. Maybe that's a thing, and then we get to do that at some point. I don't know, but I
Yeah.
do know that on this planet, we're going to get recycled over and over and over. You're going to get to be all of those creatures at some point. You'll get to feed them. I'll get to feed the baby hawks and the baby
That's
mountain
right.
lions.
So cool.
I love that. I love it. It just gives me solace in the night to know that this hopefully will go on forever until the sun burns out, and some part of me will be here for it.
Yeah, I sure hope so as well. I mean, I love the visual of, the infinity sign tipped, vertically, where you see it go up and down and back into the ground and come back up. And that should be something that recycles forever and ever and ever, as long as we take care of our planet, like you said.